The year was 1888, and the dusty town of Deadwood Gulch in the Dakota Territory was a place where dreams went to die and men went to get rich quick. Gold had been discovered in the Black Hills, and every saloon, gambling den, and makeshift shack was packed with miners, gamblers, and outlaws looking for their next score. Every Friday night, the Silver Spur Saloon held its infamous bride auction, a cruel spectacle where desperate women were sold to the highest bidder like cattle at market. On this particular night, the air was thick with cigar smoke and the stench of whiskey. The wooden stage creaked under the weight of the auctioneer, a wiry man named Slim Jenkins, with a handlebar mustache and a voice like gravel. The crowd of rough men hooted and hollered as lot after lot was paraded before them. But when Lot 12 was announced, the laughter turned to jeers. Standing on the stage was Clara O'Malley, a 22-year-old Irish immigrant with fiery red hair tied back in a loose braid, freckles across her nose, and a figure that could only be described as chubby. Her dress was faded calico, torn at the hem from years of hard work in saloons and kitchens. She had come west after her parents died, hoping for a new life, but ended up orphaned and broke. Now here she was, up for sale. Slim banged his gavel. Lot 12. Clara O'Malley. Strong Irish stock, excellent cook, can handle a household and more. Starting bid $30. The room fell silent, then erupted in mockery. A bearded miner spat tobacco juice on the floor. Who'd want a fat bride? She'd eat more than she's worth. Another man, a gambler with a fancy vest, chuckled. I need a woman who can keep up on the trail, not one who'll slow down the wagon. Clara's cheeks burned, but she held her ground. She stepped forward, her voice steady despite the trembling in her hands. No one marries a chubby girl, boss, but I can rope, shoot, and ride better than any man in this room. I've wrangled cattle, broken horses, and put food on the table for 20 men at a time. Bid or don't, I ain't begging. The crowd roared with laughter, thinking it was a joke. Slim raised the gavel. Any bids? 30, 20, 10. No hands went up. Going once. The saloon doors burst open with a bang that silenced the room. In strode a tall figure in a black duster coat, hat pulled low over his eyes. Twin revolvers hung from his hips, and a scar ran from his left eye to his chin. This was Wyatt Kane, known across the territory as the Reaper, an outlaw with a price on his head and a reputation for never missing a shot. He didn't speak to anyone. He just walked straight to the bar, his boots thudding on the wooden floor. Slim swallowed hard. Mr. Kane? You biddin'?" Wyatt's voice was low and gravelly, like thunder rolling in the distance. $500. Cash. For the girl. He tossed a heavy sack of gold coins onto the bar. They clinked with a sound that cut through the noise like a knife. The room went dead quiet. Slim counted quickly, his eyes wide. Sold. To the Reaper. Clara was pushed off the stage, stumbling into Wyatt's arms. He caught her firmly but gently. You all right? He asked, his eyes scanning her face for the first time. She looked up at him, defiant. I ain't your property. What do you want with me? Wyatt didn't answer right away. He just led her out of the saloon to where 2 horses were tied. The crowd parted like the Red Sea. Outside, the night air was cool, stars twinkling above the jagged hills. He helped her onto a sturdy mare. Mount up. We're leaving. As they rode out of Deadwood Gulch, Clara glanced back at the saloon lights, fading behind them. Where are we going? Reaper's Roost, Wyatt said. My hideout. 20 miles north. You'll be safe there. Clara gripped the reins tighter. Safe from what? You bought me like a sack of flour. Wyatt's jaw tightened. From men who'd use you and toss you aside. I ain't one of them. They rode in silence for hours, the only sounds the clip-clop of hooves and the howl of coyotes. Clara's mind raced. She had heard stories of the Reaper, how he'd robbed banks, outgunned posses, and vanished like a ghost. Why would a man like him buy a chubby girl no one wanted? They made camp under a cottonwood tree as dawn broke. Wyatt built a small fire and handed her jerky and hardtack. Clara ate hungrily, then asked, Why me? You could have had any skinny dancer in there. Wyatt stared into the flames. I don't need a dancer. I need someone who can survive out here. You said you can rope and shoot. Prove it. Clara's eyes narrowed. She stood, dusted off her dress, and walked to a nearby sagebrush. With a flick of her wrist, she looped a rope around a branch 20 feet away. Perfect lasso. Then she drew the small derringer hidden in her boot and shot a tin can off a rock without blinking. Wyatt nodded, a hint of a smile cracking his scarred face. Good. You'll fit in at the Roost. The Roost was a hidden canyon, guarded by high cliffs and a narrow entrance. Inside were a dozen rough men, outlaws, all loyal to Wyatt. They eyed Clara with suspicion as she dismounted. One, a burly man named Hank, sneered. Boss, you brought back a cook? She looks like she eats more than she makes. Clara didn't flinch. I can cook for 20 and still outride you, Hank. Want a bet? The men laughed, but Wyatt silenced them with a look. She's with me. Treat her right. Days turned into weeks. Clara proved her worth. She cooked hearty stews that filled bellies after long rides, mended cloves with precise stitches, and joined the men on cattle-rustling runs. She roped steers faster than most, shot bottles off fences for fun, and even taught a young outlaw named Tommy how to track. The men started calling her Cookie, with respect, not mockery. Wyatt watched from afar at first. His gang was his family, the only one he had after his wife and child died years ago in a raid. He had bought Clara on impulse, seeing the fire in her eyes amid the jeers. But now something stirred in him. Her laughter around the campfire, the way she handled a rifle, her unyielding spirit. It reminded him of what he'd lost. One evening, as the sun set blood-red over the canyon, Clara was cleaning Wyatt's cabin. She swept under the bed and found a loose floorboard. Curiosity got the better of her. She pried it up and found a yellowed letter sealed with wax. To my daughter Clara, if you're reading this, I'm gone. Your mother was a Comanche woman I loved dearly. We hid you in Ireland to protect you from my enemies. You are the heir to $50,000 in gold buried near Deadwood. The map is in the locket I gave you as a baby. Stay strong. Love, Father. Clara's hand shook. She had a locket, her only keepsake from childhood. She pulled it from her neck and opened it. Inside was a tiny folded map. Wyatt walked in at that moment. What are you doing? Clara held up the letter. This is about me. You knew. Wyatt sighed, sitting on the bed. Your father was my partner years ago. He saved my life. Before he died, he made me promise to find you if anything happened. When I saw you on that stage, I knew it was you. The locket gave it away. Clara's eyes filled with tears. Why didn't you tell me? I was protecting you. That gold has a curse. Men kill for it. The sheriff in Deadwood is after it. He's the one who killed your pa. Clara stood tall. Then we get it first. Together. Word spread fast in the territory. The Reapers got a chubby bride with a fortune. Sheriff Boone, a corrupt lawman in the pocket of mining companies, gathered a posse of 30 men. They rode to Reaper's Roost under the cover of night, torches blazing. Reaper Kane. Boone shouted from the canyon entrance. Send out the girl and the gold, or we burn this place to the ground. Wyatt and Clara stood on the cliff edge, rifles ready. The gang flanked them. Clara's heart pounded, but her hands were steady. This is my gold. My life. Wyatt looked at her. Then we fight for it. The battle was fierce. Bullets whined through the air. Outlaws fell, but Clara shot true, taking down 3 men with precise headshots. Wyatt took a bullet in the shoulder, but kept firing. Hank covered them with a shotgun. Boone charged forward on horseback. The girl's mine. Clara stepped out. Duel me, coward. Dawn broke as they faced off in the canyon center. 50 paces. The posse watched. Clara's chubby frame didn't waver. She drew her revolver, faster than Boone expected. Bang! Boone fell, a hole in his chest. The posse dropped their guns and fled. Clara rushed to Wyatt, bandaging his wound. You okay? He grinned through the pain. Marry me, Clara. For real. Not because I bought you, but because you're the strongest woman I know. Clara laughed, tears in her eyes. Only if I get to keep roping and shooting. They dug up the gold that week, $50,000 in nuggets, enough to buy a real ranch. The gang disbanded honorably, each taking a share. Clara and Wyatt built a home on the plains, raising horses and a family. She never cooked again unless she wanted to. She spent her days riding the range, her chubby figure a symbol of strength, not shame. And in the saloons of Deadwood Gulch, they still tell the tale. No one marries a chubby girl, but the Reaper did, and she saved his life.